You are currently the only person in this conference.
Can anyone hear me now? All right. So now I'll have to go back all the way from the start because you could not hear me from the very beginning. I think now I'll have to go back all the way from the start. From where did you lose my audio? From what point did you lose my audio? From what point did you lose my audio? After the course outline. That is so far. All right then. So I think now I'll have to go back to the very beginning of the course. So even the definition for mobile computing, it was not the definition for mobile computing was not hard. Okay, so let's begin again. What is mobile computing? Mobile computing, we have now to get that from two terms. So I'm repeating everything because you could not hear me. Mobile computing is gotten from two terms: computing and mobile. Now, mobile just means having physical mobility, and computing means using computer services. And the basic computer services are what? Data sending or data transfer, input, output, and processing. So mobile computing is basically the use or the access of computing services on the go or on the move. Or we can also say that mobile computing is the use and access of computing. It's the nature, it's the way by which computing services bear physical mobility. So this is where now we have things like smartphones and tablets and computing devices and computing technologies that can allow you to move around and access computing services. So mobile computing basically just means computing on the go or accessing computing services while you are moving. So these are computing technologies and systems and services that are not stationary in nature. They can allow the user to use them even as they are traveling, as they are doing their own things. They do not have to be in the office to do their things. They can go around. So what that means is that for mobile computing to be possible, we need not networks, we need computer networks. And that is why you have already done a little bit of introduction to computer networking, wired networks, wireless networks, such things. So for mobile computing to happen, there needs to be networks, because it is through networks that data can be sent and received. Now, there are three kinds of computing technologies, and all of them, they are mobile in nature. There are three kinds of computing technologies or computing environments. One of them is called ubiquitous computing. Ubiquitous computing. Now, ubiquitous computing, ubiquitous is just an English term that means everywhere. It is an English term that means everywhere. Ubiquitous computing just means that this is a computing technology that can be integrated with everything on the physical environment. For instance, you can integrate your phone to the wall. You can project. Some phones can allow you to project the screen on the wall. It can allow you to project the screen on the table. It can allow you to project your screen even on your hand, the screen, even on your hand. It can allow you to project the screen on your car windscreen as you are moving, so that as you receive a call or a video call, instead of for you looking at the phone, you look at what? The screen. So you look at the screen on your car. Even as you are driving, you can just talk with somebody on your car, yeah, instead of having to look aside. So you can just keep on driving as you are seeing the person you are talking with on the screen, on the windscreen. So that is called ubiquitous computing, where you can integrate your devices with environments around you. Okay, environments around you. And I'm going to send you some videos that demonstrate these things more. And there is what we call nomadic computing. Nomadic computing. Nomadic from the term nomad. Nomad is somebody on the move. So nomadic computing is where the computing environment goes with the user. It is not stationary in nature. The computing environment goes with the user. So for instance, when you have your mobile phone, you can access your messages, you can access your Gmail app, you can access everything that you have, personal information through the network. Why? Because you do not leave the computing environment at home. You do not leave that computing environment in the office. It goes with you. So that is called nomadic computing. Then there is now what we call pervasive computing. Pervasive computing is where resources in the computing environment are availed to everyone, everywhere, and can be accessed at any time. Everywhere, everyone, every time. And that is made possible by the use of the internet, or what we call the World Wide Web. Pervasive computing. It is where computing services are provided, or they can be accessed everywhere by everyone, every time. So when you are having you access websites using URLs to that website, you access blogs and resources in the World Wide Web using URLs or uniform resource locators that allow you to access those information. And anybody else in the world, as long as they can type in the same URL, they can also find the same information. They can also find the same information. So this is very important. So pervasive computing is basically the provision of the internet. That is what we call pervasive computing, where there is a worldwide network, or there is a wide area network, the wide area network, which allows people in different geographical spaces to get the same services. That everyone at every time, we can all access the same resource at the same time. Okay, and while we are everywhere. So that is what we call pervasive computing. Then there are other two terms that we need to mention. The other term that we also need to mention after discussing the three kinds of computing is virtual home environment. The first one is virtual home environment. Basically, virtual home environment is defined as an environment in a foreign network such that the mobile user can experience the same computing experience as they have in their home or corporate computing environment. Virtual home environment is defined as an environment in a foreign network such that the mobile user can experience the same computing experience as they have in their home, or as they have in their home or their corporate computing environment. Now, virtual home environment is just this. Virtual home environment ensures that whether you are using a smartphone or a laptop or a desktop PC, you can receive the same services. Basically, virtual home environment ensures that mobile users or computer users, they get the same services regardless of the technology they are using. That is what is called mobile home and virtual home environment, meaning that you can use the same services on your laptop, and you can access the same apps on your laptop as you can access them on your phone. That is why every time mobile apps are made, developers of mobile apps, they develop apps that are accessible, that can be accessed on the phone, and they can also be accessed on the conventional PC. So you can access the app, you can access a Gmail. There is a Gmail app for Android, there is a Gmail app for PC, there is a Google Chrome app version for Android, there's a Google Chrome app version for PC, and such things. So virtual home environment just ensures that regardless of the technology that you are using, you are able to access the same services and enjoy the same services just as you would in your home or in your office or wherever you normally get that service from day to day. Then there is what we call global service portability. These are just terms in mobile computing. Global service portability, this is a term that has everything to do with how a service can be portable globally, or how a service can be accessed globally. And this is where we have things like virtual databases, or what we call cloud services. So global service portability ensures that users can access services from anywhere, and they can access data and send data from anywhere. Global service portability. Yeah, so you can upload your files anywhere to the cloud, you can download your files anywhere from the cloud. It's called global service portability. Now, what are some advantages of mobile computing? Why do we, or before we go to the advantages, what are some of the applications of mobile computing? What are some of the applications of mobile computing? In other words, in what spaces in real life do we use computing services that bear physical mobility? Number one, in transport. Yeah, in transport, where you can communicate, in transport you can use services such as the GPS positioning and tracking system. The GPS positioning and tracking system, you can use your phone in transport. You can also use for emergency services, like you can dial 911, or you can dial another service to call an ambulance. Yeah, emergencies. Also used in entertainment. You use your mobile phone wherever you go to access entertainment services such as YouTube and accessing other sites for entertainment. Also in learning or in education, mobile services. Most of you probably may not have a laptop, but most of you have a what? You have a smartphone, and through your smartphone you are able to access the very things that somebody with a phone, somebody with the PC is able to access. You are able to access the ZDS portal, be able to learn, you're able to connect with your teachers. Yeah, so mobile phones are mobile computing is basically advantageous in very many ways, in other ways that you can think about. Yeah, the physical mobility has many advantages. Why? Because number one, there are issues to do with convenience. Now that is where we get to the issue of the benefits of why is mobile computing important. The benefits of mobile computing: there is convenience. There is convenience. You don't have to be at school to learn. Right now you are at home, you are learning. So there is convenience in, regardless of the physical positioning, because there is the issue of global service portability and pervasive computing, where services can be accessed from anywhere by anyone every time. Then there is convenience to the services. There is also um, portability. The services are available for you whenever you need them. Yeah. There is also the issue of security. No one else can access to your end of the portal but you. You can only log in using your own authentication criteria. So there is that issue of portability. I mean security. Sorry, security. So mobile phones and mobile computing offers a great level of security. Also, it also paves way for creation of new apps. It paves way for creation of new apps. The more you use your phone, the more you'll realize that you need more apps to compute some things. For instance, you will need an app for buying and selling. So you'll have to download Jumia, you'll have to download Kilimall app, you'll have to download Amazon, Alibaba. You'll have to download other apps, entertainment apps, weather apps, time and date app, calendar app. You'll have to download notebook app. You'll have to download WhatsApp. You'll have to download Facebook app. You'll have to download Gmail app if it is not already there, but most phones have Gmail app already. You'll have to download YouTube app. You'll have to download many apps. In other words, when you are using your mobile phone, you will find out that you require many things because there are many services that you want to have as you move around. You don't need to be in a cyber cafe to get them. So you want these services as you move around. So you'll find that developers are always constantly developing apps for mobile phone users. It is said that in Play Store alone, there is there's an average of 800,000 to 1.2 million apps that are downloaded daily just through Google Play Store. And we know that there are other app forums. Yeah. So you can tell that through that, mobile app developers are always coming up with apps because there is an app for mobile phone users require an app for almost everything. You require an app for your a calculator app. You require a temperature measurement app. If you are sick, you can have a temperature measurement. It can measure your body. You can have an app for face lock and security features for your phone, an app, a GPS tracking app, things like that, or an app to monitor how your phone is charging, especially if your phone has you don't want your phone to keep charging, you don't want your phone to keep charging when it is already full. Otherwise it might spoil your battery. So you can install an app for everything. There is always an app for everything. So when you go to Play Store, just look for an app for something, anything random, you will find that there is an app for it, even more than 100,000 apps or 10,000 apps just for one particular service. So basically there is an app for everything. And who develops these apps? Developers, just random people, and they get money from your downloads. Yeah. So basically mobile computing makes innovation of new apps possible because users have changing needs and they have dynamic needs. Yeah. So what are some of the apps? You can just contribute by talking about some of the apps that you've interacted with using your phone. Some of the apps that you've interacted with, or some apps that you know about using your phone, and how it helps you go along with your normal daily life. We can interact. Yeah, WhatsApp, Udemy, Call of Duty. Duolingo. Jumia app. Instagram. Basically, there is an app for almost everything. Yeah, there is an app for almost everything. If you just need anything, just go to Google Play Store and you'll find an app for it. So there is almost an app for everything, everything that you need in life. Yeah, there is an app for almost everything. An app for workout, an app to ensure that you work out. It reminds you to work out. Kama unanona, yeah, it helps you to work out. It gives you reminders to work out. There is almost an app for everything. An app for checking your body temperature, an app for checking your anxiety levels to keep you fit, to keep you mentally sane. So there are mental health apps. I mean, there are an app for almost everything. Yeah. So basically, mobile computing provides an environment. It provides a space for developers to always keep inventing and innovating more apps, and that is another advantage. So we've talked about convenience. You don't have to be in the home or office to do your work. You can do your mobile computing work. You can do your computing work using your phone. You can send data using your phone. You can learn, you can attend classes using your phone. Yeah, so there's convenience. There's also portability. Services are available to everyone. It is not just you. So for instance, like right now we are 11 users right now, so that is global service portability, and all of us, we are in different geographical locations. So through global service portability, there is a way in which, because of the internet, we are able to, these resources are available to all of us every time, everywhere. It is not available just to one person, to every person. So it can be shared. It allows sharing of data. That is why also that the internet is also a dangerous place for information. Why? Because it can trend very fast. Why? If I get a if I get information, I can share with somebody, somebody else shares with somebody, somebody else shares with somebody. So within 5 minutes, there are more than 10 million people that have viewed whatever you have shared, or even more, because it keeps going very fast. Yeah. So it is a way of ensuring that, and also information gets to people fast. It gets to people fast. We have these what that we call Facebook Live, YouTube Live. So most companies are implementing Facebook Live and YouTube Live to ensure that they reach their consumers faster, because the consumer doesn't have to, or the customer, or the viewer, or the listener doesn't have to go to the mobile app or to the radio app to listen to the radio. Or for instance, Citizen Citizen Live, they always know that uh, most of their users are YouTubers. They don't always go to their websites or Citizen TV app. Most of them don't. I don't have a Citizen TV app myself. Why? Because I don't think I need it. Why? Because they have Citizen what? YouTube Live. I can stream live and find what they are saying, or KTN. Yeah, or K24. So I don't have to download the apps. So basically, that's why we have YouTube Live, we have Facebook Live, because they know most users are on Facebook, most users are on YouTube. We can follow what they are saying. So there is that convenience of things. It makes life very, very easy. Yeah. Also, there is through what we call nomadic computing. Nomadic computing, there is a very big advantage to nomadic computing, because in nomadic computing you are able to connect your device to other devices, and this is made possible by what we call the Internet of Things, the IoT. the Internet of Things. You are able to connect your phone to your laundry machine. You are able to connect your phone to your microwave. You're able to connect your phone to your TV, your Android TV. You're able to connect your phone to almost everything. You're even able to connect your phone to your door. You're able to connect your phone to your car. You're able to connect your phone to anything that you feel that you need to connect your phone to. You just have an embedded software within that device that you want to connect it to. So an embedded software in your microwave, an embedded software in your TV, an embedded software on your door, like a door chip, that enables you to connect your phone to those devices such that you can control them from anywhere you go. Yeah, so you can ensure that your doors are closed when you go. You can ensure that all umezima stima kila mahali as you move around, as you go out of your house, so you don't have to go to every room. And that is why most rich people, they have these apps to control almost everything in their house. They have an app for everything in their house, or an app that controls their house completely. Yeah, an app that controls the electricity, an app that controls the taps, the water taps. It is one app that controls all those things. Yeah, it controls the microwave, it controls the dishwasher, it controls the laundry washer, it controls the dryer, it controls the vacuum machine, it controls their cars itself, the gate, the garage gate. So basically, mobile computing just makes life easy. That is the best way to say it. It makes life easy. It makes life very easy. So what are some of the challenges in mobile computing? One of the challenges in mobile computing is first thing that we need to know, as we had already said, that mobile computing uses what? Networks. You need a network for you to access mobile computing services. So one of the challenges of networks is what? Connectivity. Yeah, connectivity. Just right now, you could not hear my audio. Yeah, so that is a challenge of mobile computing. You could not hear my audio. You would not have that challenge if you were in class physically. So that is one of the challenges of mobile computing. Connectivity may be low sometime, and there are other system issues that might be there. There is also the challenge of security. Why? Because we have cyber crimes. Cyber crimes are things like hacking, cracking, tapping, sabotage, fraud, such things like that, and other computer crimes that you know of. So it makes cyber crimes, they makes mobile computing services or mobile computing itself naturally to be insecure. So we have to implement security features all around as we keep using our mobile devices, so that we can ensure that you are the only user that is using those devices. So there is the issue of security. There is also the issue of cost. There is the issue of cost. For you to acquire these services, you must be able to use bundles. So that is why every month you must have a subscription, or you do a network or internet subscription. Yeah, you do an internet subscription every time. You do monthly or weekly or daily. Yeah, or you do prepaid or postpaid, such kind of things, and that is expensive in the long run. Somebody was telling me that on average in a year, the amount of bundles, they are a heavy bundle user, the amount of bundles that they use in a year, it could almost amount to 180 to 200,000 shillings in a year. Yeah? That is a lot of money just for bundles. Yeah, hiyo ni pesa unaweza nunua ploti nayo. Yeah, so basically it's expensive. It's expensive. The long-term cost is expensive. I want you someday to just try and count how much bundles you use in a year. You'll find that you use a lot of money. Well, of course, it benefits you because there are a lot of services you get from the internet. You are able to stream online. You are able to download things that you need for everyday use. But the long-term cost is high. You know, we never see this cost because inakwanga kidogo kidogo. You just download unaweka credit ya 20 shillings, you buy bundles, you use it, inaisha, you buy again, you use it, inaisha, you buy again, such kind of thing. So it doesn't appear as though you are using a lot of money, but in the long run it's very expensive. So there is cost in the long run. There is a lot of cost in the long run. Also, companies that manage these networks, they use a lot of money to pay their system engineers, to pay their telecommunications engineers, to keep the networks up and running, to pay for maintenance, to implement new things. So they use a lot of money in the long run to keep these systems working. Yeah. So there is that issue. There is also the issue of there's a challenge when it comes to, there are what we call technical challenges of mobile computing. Technical challenges are basically challenges related to the hardware or the software that you are using. For instance, sometimes you may not be able to install an app because of what? Limited memory. Or your phone itself may have technical issues like battery life. It might have a small battery life. It may have a limited memory. It may have a faulty screen. Of course, it is repairable, but for some phones, it's not repairable. You have to buy another screen or you replace that screen, but it's very expensive. Uh, there are technical challenges of mobile computing. Yeah. So, for instance, sometimes you may be in a place where there is no network completely. Yeah. So you have a good phone, but you don't have Safaricom network or Telcom network or Airtel or Orange, whatever you're using. So those are basically technical challenges. Technical challenges. So there are those technical challenges for that affect mobile computing in a very, very high way. In a very high way. So that is it with chapter one. Chapter one just deals with the introduction. Chapter one just deals with the introduction to mobile computing. So I want to ask again, as I not again, but I want to ask. I want you to define for me this term. So define for me, as we had said, virtual home environment, and also define virtual home environment and define global service portability. I want to see if you understood. Define those two terms. Lucy Wanjiru, global service portability is where users can access networks or send data from anywhere, yes, through the use of internet. What is virtual home environment? Virtual home environment. virtual home environment. You say that virtual home environment is a term in mobile computing that basically describes how users of mobile devices can access services just the same way as they would from their home or from their workplace. So that is where we say we can have an app, a Google, an Android versions for apps and PC versions for apps. So when you're in the office, you can access your Gmail, and when you are on the move, your phone, you can access your Gmail on your phone. Why? Because there's a Gmail app for Android, and there is also a Gmail app that you can use on your PC. Those versions are different. So virtual home environment ensures that regardless of what technology you are using, whether on the move or in a stationary place, you are getting the same services. So when you look at your Gmail app uh, on your machine, it looks in a way, the interface looks in a certain way. And when you look at it, in your phone, the interface also looks in another different way. But that difference, or it's just there to accommodate your device, yeah, so that you can use Gmail services as you are moving, and you can still use Gmail services when you have the bigger screen for your laptop. Okay, yeah. So virtual home environment ensures that mobile device users of mobile devices get the same services on the go as they get them as they are stationary. Okay, yeah, that is what virtual home environment. Also, I want you to tell me security challenges of mobile computing. Security challenges of mobile computing. Explain security challenges of mobile computing. Explain security challenges of mobile computing. Yes, Leland, that is the correct answer. Cybercrimes such as hacking and leaking of personal data, those are the security challenges. Hacking, cracking, sabotage, fraud, phishing and farming, such things, they are called cybercrimes. Massive disconnection and network failure is not a security challenge. That is a technical challenge. Okay, so disconnection due to network failure is a technical challenge. It's not a security challenge. And yeah, something else. Could you explain this term? Have you met this term before? Bandwidth. Do you know what bandwidth is from your previous knowledge of computer networks? Do you know what bandwidth is? Do you have an idea of what bandwidth is? Or what is it? What is bandwidth? A range of frequencies within a given band. The maximum amount of data that transmission medium can carry at a given time. The bit rate available or consumed info capacity expressed typically in metric multiples of bits per second. The maximum data transfer rate of a network or in internet connection. Those are true definitions. Those are true definitions, the ones that you've given. Yeah, basically, bandwidth is the maximum amount of signals that can pass through a network at a given time. So that is basically it. So bandwidth affects things like what? Internet connectivity. How fast or how slow can you access services? So when you have a small bandwidth, then bandwidth is measured in terms of what? Bits per second. So bandwidth is measured in bits per second. So that's why we have kbps, kbps, mbps, gbps, etc. So what those are, they are kilobytes per second, megabytes per second, gigabytes per second. And what that is basically how much data signals can pass through that network at a given time. The lower the bandwidth, the slower your connectivity. The lower the bandwidth, the slower the connectivity. So when you're working with the internet, the lower the bandwidth, the slower the connectivity. And if there's no bandwidth at all, you cannot connect to anything. Okay, so that is what is called bandwidth, the amount of signals that can pass through a network or transmission medium per given time, and it is normally per second. All right, let's then go to chapter 2. Chapter 2, we have wired and wireless networks. Chapter 2, we have wired and wireless networks. We come back here. So chapter 2, we have wired and wireless networks. Now, chapter 2 is going to be very, very easy, and it's going to be interactive in nature because you already have a brief, you already have a detailed you already have details in networking. So the first thing I need to ask you is, what is a network? So that is the first thing I need to ask you. What is a network? I think you already have knowledge in networking. So what is a network? What is a network? When you talk about networks in computing, what is a network? Somebody. What is a network? Yes, learn a group of interconnected systems. Yes. Somebody else? Two or more computers connected to share information. Yes, that is true. A network is basically a set of interconnected devices that are interconnected to share data. Yeah, a connection between two or more devices. That is true. Or yeah, so a network is basically a set of interconnected devices that have been connected to one another to share information or to facilitate data sending and transfer. That is what a network is. So a network can be does not have to be computers only. It can also be phones, printers, scanners, and other devices. Devices that have been connected in a network are called nodes. Nodes are devices in a network. Nodes, these are devices in a network. Devices that have been connected in a network are called nodes. So whatever is in a network and can receive data within that network, or can send data within that network, can send or can receive, or both, is called a node. So it can be a computer connected to another computer, a computer connected to our phones, tablets connected to computers, computers connected to a server, computers connected to one printer. All these devices connected in a network are called nodes. Now, for networking to happen, networking can happen in two ways. One, with the use of cables, and two, with the use of waves. So networking or connecting computers or devices using cables, physical connection, is called, that kind of network is called a wired network. So a wired network is a network that we use cables. So I want you to mention to me what are the some kind of cables that you have discussed before, which facilitate connection of devices to each other. Just cables that you have discussed before. Yes, Ethernet, coaxial cables. Yes. Which other cables? The simplest cables that you use from day to day. Which is a cable that you use from day to day? Twisted pair, HDMI cable, fiber optic cables, yes. Yes, USB cables. That one is very common, yeah. So USB cables, fiber optic cables, twisted pair cables. Yeah, those are the some of the cables. So we implement wired networks using cables, and you discuss those cables. Yeah, good. I can see you have an idea of these things. Then, which now the networks that we don't use cables, they are called wireless networks. But in wireless networks, because we don't use cables, we use waves. So mention for me some of the waves or some of the methods or ways in which we connect devices using waves, or we connect devices without using cables. Wi-Fi. So Wi-Fi uses what kind of waves? Wi-Fi uses microwaves. Microwaves. Wi-Fi uses microwaves. What other kind of yeah, satellite machines also make use of microwaves. Uh-huh. Which other? Bluetooth. Good. Yes, Bluetooth waves. Uh-huh. Which other? Infrared. Infrared waves. Now, what is the difference between infrared and Bluetooth? What is the difference between infrared and Bluetooth waves? The main difference between Bluetooth and infrared is there are differences, but the main difference is that Bluetooth waves are short waves, while infrared waves are long-range waves. Bluetooth waves can only be transmitted within a maximum radius of 8 to 11 meters. Some say 7 to 10, 8 to 11. It's around 10 meters average, 10 meters. But infrared waves can go more than that. So Bluetooth waves are short waves, and Bluetooth and infrared are long range waves. Infrared uses light waves. Uh, Bluetooth Bluetooth also works within a radius. Bluetooth works within a radius, meaning that it can work within a radius of 10 meters. So it works within a radius. Yeah. So any device that is within that radius, a circular radius, any device that is within that circular radius can be detected via Bluetooth. But infrared doesn't work through radius. Infrared works through what we call a line of sight. Line of sight. A line of sight. An example of infrared devices is remote controllers. Remote control for your TV. Remote control for remote control toys for kids. Remote controllers for anything. Remote controller for your game, your video games, and such things. So infrared works in what we call a line of sight. A line of sight is basically a straight line through which those waves are transmitted, meaning that those waves cannot be transmitted within a radius. They can only be transmitted in a straight line, meaning that you cannot control your TV. You cannot control your TV with you cannot control your TV at a certain angle. You need a certain specific angle to point your remote control towards. So you will always find that when you point your TV towards another angle, it doesn't work. Yeah, so why? Because infrared waves works through what is called a line of sight. A line of sight. It only sees along a certain line. Okay. And then also the other difference between Bluetooth and infrared is that Bluetooth waves can pass through walls, but infrared waves cannot pass through walls. Bluetooth waves can pass through walls, infrared waves cannot pass through walls. So that's why you can actually send a file via Bluetooth to another device which is over the wall, which is across the wall. Yeah, you can play your phone when you are in the bedroom, and it is playing through your media system or your whatever, your stereo system in your living room when you're in the bedroom. Why? Because if you're using Bluetooth waves can pass through walls, but infrared cannot pass through walls. So you cannot control your TV using your remote controller when you are in the other room. It cannot work because infrared waves cannot pass through walls. So with that knowledge, the remote controller for cars, for locking your car when you've alighted from your car, does it use Bluetooth waves or infrared? Does it use Bluetooth waves or infrared for your car, for a car, let's say, for a car? Does it, that remote controller for the car, does it use Bluetooth or infrared? With that knowledge, someone says Bluetooth. Yes, it uses Bluetooth because Bluetooth can pass through walls. Yes, yeah. Bluetooth can pass through walls. So it uses Bluetooth waves. It uses Bluetooth waves. Well, so Can I be heard now? Okay. So I was saying that I was responding to Leland's answer. The length of connection, if you are talking about the geographical length, this will be more of an advantage for wireless networks than wired, because wireless networks enables us to communicate over long distances, like when we are using our mobile phones and we are using the radio waves. Yeah, so cables cannot reach far and wide, but using microwaves and such kind of transmissions, we're able to have a wider geographical coverage. Then what is another advantage of wired networks? Wired networks are also cheaper to maintain and implement. Wireless networks are more expensive. Yeah, that's why you pay for what? That's why you keep paying for bundles, you keep paying for credit, you keep paying for all these services, because has to be maintained always. So wired networks are also cheaper compared to wireless networks, especially when it involves many devices. Especially when it involves many devices, wired networks are cheaper. What are some of the disadvantages, or what are some of the advantages? Advantages of wireless networks to wired networks. Advantages of wireless networks to wired networks. What are some of the advantages? Awes Abubakar, Masiware. Wireless networks are more flexible, yes, because of convenience of moving. You can move around. That is true. Another advantage, wireless networks can support different kinds of computing technologies. Wireless networks can support different kinds of computing technologies. For instance, you can use your phone that is running on Android platform. Another one will use a phone that is running on iOS. Somebody else will use a phone that is running on Windows platform. So wireless networks can support different technologies. Yeah, can support different technologies. Require few experts. Please explain your point further, Masiware. What do you mean by wireless networks require fewer experts? What do you mean by that? Leland Paul, that is true. Extra devices can easily be added. True. There is what we call scalability. Leland Paul, that the term we give to that is scalability. Scalability is the ability to add or remove features from a system, or add or remove devices from a system. So extra devices can be easily added. For instance, you can buy a SIM card and you buy a new phone. Yeah, you can add your laptop and you just connect to the Wi-Fi which is already exists. Someone else introduces their laptop, they connect to the Wi-Fi which already exists. So extra devices can easily be added. That is true. That one is called scalability. You can expand the system. You can also reduce it. You can also minimize who accesses the services. So in a Wi-Fi scenario, you can limit some people from accessing. You bar them from accessing. So there is also security. Yeah. Installation is fast. Yes, because we don't have to do what we call compatibility test. You don't have to do compatibility test. As long as all phones across the board, they can connect to Wi-Fi. So installation of your phone is fast to the network. You just have to turn on Wi-Fi and it can connect to the available Wi-Fi connections that are there. So installation is fast. That is true. And also most of the services, they do not require, most of the services in wireless networks, they do not require initial installation. They are already integrated. So there is what you call integrated services. So Wi-Fi is already integrated. SIM card connectivity is already integrated. You do not need to install another app to connect your SIM card to the network. So as long as you just plug, it plays. So it's a plug and play kind of scenario. So wireless networks are also secure, as I have said, because the Wi-Fi can be limited to how many users can use it and who uses it. Such things like that. Device features have been integrated already, so you don't have to install many things. Also, Masiware, to respond to your answer, requires fewer experts. This may not, if you mean that use of mobile phones does not require people who are very well computer literate or IT geeks, that may be true. That may be true if that's what you mean, Mercy. But if you mean that it doesn't need professionals to operate, now that may be not true, because wireless networks require professionals. We need software developers, we need network engineers, we need telecommunications analysts, telecommunications engineers. So these are people that maintain these wireless systems or maintain devices that facilitate wireless communication. So we need professionals. We need professionals. So it doesn't require few experts in that area. But if you mean that smartphones don't require people to have deep IT knowledge, then that would be true, because anybody can own a phone as long as you have basic computing skills. Okay, thank you, Mercy. All right. So that is what we have in wired and wireless networks. So there are very many things to discuss about wired and wireless networks, but I think you had already done much of these things. So now, when we are now going to be going to the other topics that are now, from now on to the end, we're going to be dealing with wireless networks. Wireless networks is going to be the focus, because we are going to be looking at how mobile phones and other mobile devices communicate in a network. And I didn't hear anybody talking about portability. Portability of devices. That is a very, very a very, very big advantage for wireless networks because it facilitates portability of devices. But in wired networks, you can't carry your PC because it is connected to a cable and it has to stay there. But for your mobile phone, because of wireless networks, you can carry it. Your tablet, you can carry it. Your laptop, you can carry it. So portability supports portability of devices. And so from now on, from chapter 3, which is cellular networks, going forward, we are going to be focusing ourselves on wireless networks, how mobile phones and other devices work in a wireless kind of connectivity. So that I wish that we stop there so that in the coming classes we then continue from there. Any question? Any question? Any question? Any question? Any concern? Just to clarify, the assignments and the cards, they are all going to be takeaway assignments and takeaway cards. The way in which we are going to send the cards or I'm going to receive the cards and mark them, I'm going to communicate that later when we reach that point of having assignments and cards. So then let's call it a day. There is an attendance sheet, but that attendance sheet is for me to mark. So of course, don't worry if you are online, if you attended the class, I will be able to see your name. The system is able to generate from my point, from my side, the all people that participated, but they were in class, they were online, they were streaming in online class, marked absent when you are present. The system already has generated those class. All right. So I will mark that and then we are going to meet in the next class. Okay. That's it for today. Have a day and enjoy the rest of your time. You too, Gideon.